The first one is what we've called nonsensy brand speak. So as a strategist, we obviously spend a lot of time looking through people's corporate websites and reading the About Us section. What are our values? What do we believe? And a lot of the time it's really great and really well thought out. But then sometimes you'll hit upon something that you'll just read and you'll think, we are better apart than we are together. And you'll think, hang on a second. I don't think I know what that means. And I don't know if anyone who's reading this will actually know what it means. So what you're really trying to do is, when you write these things, is try and distill what a brand means down to its most kind of essential components. So we often fall into this trap where you love writing and you start creating these beautiful things that sound really great, and you'll say things like, it's not a feeling, it's an emotion. And at the end, when there's somebody reading it, it's not particularly useful. It's not useful if you've put it up on your corporate website for somebody who's interested in your business to read, and it's not useful if you've put it in a brand book for somebody to kind of guide how a brand should behave. So then, you know, what you really have to do is you have to kind of boil down to the reason that you're creating it and really work out what it is that you're trying to say. So interrogate the why behind why you're doing all of this. And if it's something like, say, we have a fresh approach, it's often easier to just communicate that, so write it, we have a fresh approach, than to say something like, we see where others do not look. And that will make you look really, really foolish. The second point is making your logo look like something undesirable. And what we always say here is, people like to see naughty things when they're looking at like kind of organic shapes and etc. And we use it as like the kind of the cloud gazing example. So if you're looking up into the sky and you're trying to kind of see what naughty things you can see in the clouds, and a lot of people do that, particularly with brand logos. They want to be the ones that have spotted something really naughty in the logo. And so that's the first thing. And the second thing is that as designers working in a design agency, there are a million things that you've got to look for when you're doing your design. So you're looking for the spacing between the letters, you're looking for the kerning, you're looking to make sure that it fits with, you know, everything that you're trying to achieve from a design perspective. So you can often miss the cat's bum right at the center of the logo because you're not looking for it. You're looking for a million different other things. So, but the people who are looking at it will spot it, and almost instantly. So the best way that we kind of think is avoiding this is ask somebody who's not so closely related to the project what they think of the logo. Ask if they can see anything. If they tried, what would they notice about it? So just to kind of step away from it a little bit, you know, you can ask your friendly strategist, somebody in finance, and just make sure that if there is something undesirable that you've put in there, you're doing it for a very specific reason. So, you know, you want to be a little bit naughty or playful, or it's not there at all. The third point is kind of an inconsistent brand tone. And we liken this to, if you have a colleague and every single morning you come in and they're like, hello, lovely to see you, so great. And one morning you come in and they're like, how are you? You create this very kind of incongruent, inconsistent, kind of untrustworthy feeling. And you look kind of silly and strange. And this is part of our kind of belief that brands should feel like people, in the way that obviously people are interacting with brands a lot more. So I think a good example of this is banks. Banks spend a fortune of money on these really emotional, pulling at the heartstring kind of communications on their TV and on their radio. And you know, you'll feel after watching it like, wow, you know, this is really going to help me become a better person, to achieve my goals. And then they'll often send you kind of a text message that's like, our systems are down. No, we're sorry. No, I know that this is not really helping to build your brand. And you get this kind of like silly, like, what is this brand kind of talking about? Are they really being genuine? And on the other hand, when brands do it right, like Nando's, you always instantly know from the tone, that's you know, who they are, who you're talking to, what they're going to, you know, feel or say about a particular situation. And that becomes a really strong kind of asset for your brand to have. Similarly, F&B, you know, the kind of exception to banking is they always put a little smiley face at the end of their text message to their consumers, which makes it feel, you know, really nice and not at all kind of silly. Fourth point, naughty naming. So the best example of this, I think, is everyone was obviously very kind of familiar with the Fukushima 2011 kind of absolute terrible disaster. And the way in which the government decided that they were going to kind of try and start making the people who were involved in this tragedy feel a little bit better is by creating a mascot. And they called this mascot Fuck-Uppy, which for them is great, you know, Fukushima. And uppy is kind of something that you put onto the end of words to make it feel cute, like a chi in Afrikaans. But obviously to the rest of the world, it felt a little bit more like a more accurate representation of what had actually happened. So stuff like that, I mean, you've got to think where your name will be outside of where you initially intended it to be. And to think that your name will only appear in a very small, localized geographical context it's quite pessimistic in this day and age, if nothing else. You're going to be on the web, people are going to be exposed to it, people are again looking for things that sound a little bit funny, like child-flavored potato chips and stuff like that. And then within South Africa, we have 11 official languages and lots of ways of saying really kind of naughty, dirty things. So you want to make sure that even if it isn't a strict meaning, it doesn't have some sort of sound a little bit similar to something dirty, because you know that's something that people are going to see and is going to make you look kind of foolish. So the way that we go about doing that is just check adaptability, really research and try and find out from kind of, instead of more like, is it a dictionary meaning, speak to people, chat to people, and try and work out, you know, how that cultural fit is.